Greetings and various assorted salutations. This is the instructional video on how to carry out the New Deal assignments in Google Classroom for Spring 2020. This is it. This is the final unit, the final set of activities before we complete the Spring 2020 COVID-19 closure, various assorted, etc., etc. First off, let me say to all y'all, congratulations. This has definitely been certainly some odd times, and I'm quite proud of the students who have risen to the occasion and gotten things done and continued learning. I do have a fun bit of information for my students. Despite the fact that we've had these school closures, despite these setbacks, we will finish on time, more or less completing the things we set out to do. There's a document called the Pacing Guide, which is given to teachers that kind of shows you spend this much time here, spend this much time here, cover this, cover that. It's kind of like a checklist / calendar. We have followed that almost to the letter. And so you can take pride in knowing that you have overcome some difficult circumstances, and the world may grind to a halt, but your learning did not. So congratulations. Now let's talk about the last unit, because you have an opportunity to finish early. I'm releasing this unit well ahead of schedule so that you can complete it on your time. I understand that you have a lot to do. I have things to do as well. Let's give you the best opportunity to just get things done so we can move on. Or in this case, move on to summer. Now, the first activity for the New Deal is Introduction to the New Deal. I highly recommend you do this assignment first. Now, there's a lot going on in here. The first thing I would do is I would watch the History of the New Deal video. That kind of shows you this is what happened. And then what I'd recommend doing is watching Keynesian economics. Watch the videos first. They'll kind of explain what is the New Deal, how does it connect to the Great Depression. Then, the New Deal is actually two things. U.S. History 2 has never gone into too much detail because we just want to introduce you to the core ideas of it. But what you'll want to look at next is the first New Deal, what it consisted of, the second New Deal document, and then you'll want to look at the New Deal end results. And essentially this will kind of give you a very overview summary of, okay, what is the New Deal, what is it trying to do to the Great Depression, and what actually is the end result. And then the last activity, this will help tie everything together, is a vocab and question sheet. There's two parts to it. There's the vocab, and then there's some questions about the New Deal that you'll use the materials to answer the questions. Some people might find the online textbook to be useful for this. And if you are using the online textbook, the section you'd want to be looking at is the section that's labeled Great Depression / New Deal, because our textbook merges those two events together. So if you need that. So that's the first activity. The next activity looks at the programs of the New Deal. Essentially, the New Deal put through a lot of government-sponsored programs, and this is designed to kind of give you an overview survey of what they were and what they did. There's a full list of the programs on this website. You're going to find that one to be very useful. And then there's a history brief. I mentioned we're using those for some things. And then somebody actually wrote a song set to the tune of Uptown Funk on the New Deal. It's entertaining and historically accurate. What you're going to be using this information to do is to fill out something called the New Deal Programs Chart. And it's just a chart that breaks down the programs. And the idea behind that is it's kind of a handy reference. If you're interested in the New Deal, there's other opportunities in the future to study it. This is designed to just kind of give you an idea of what it is, some of the basics, and the end result. Now the last activity, the very last activity, is criticisms of the New Deal, because not everyone approved of the New Deal. In fact, to this day, some people question the New Deal. And this activity kind of goes over some of that. There's a whole mess of sources here because you're getting in a lot of political opinion with a lot of this, and so it's a complicated topic. And so A couple of the activities focus exclusively on the Supreme Court, these two things, on court packing plan, and there's questions devoted to that in this chart, in this thing. I'll show you in a second. And then there's several documents that are on the criticisms of the New Deal. There's an excerpt from your textbook, there's some digital history stuff, and then another document that has it. Now, to just look at the assignment, what you're doing in this assignment, there's two parts. Part one is about figuring out who opposes the New Deal and why do they oppose it. Because the New Deal is opposed from the left and the right, politically. And so you've got this word bank, and from the documents and videos that you've seen, you'll be filling out where these people fit. Are people opposed to the New Deal because it creates too much, because it's not enough, or are they against the New Deal because it's too much government control? So not enough direct government control or too much government control. And so I've already given you an example on the U.S. Supreme Court. And so basically you go through and you take the word bank and you fill in where these different groups fit. I'm going to warn you, some of these groups are not going to fit cleanly into one or the other. And so I will be looking at your rationale for why they fit in which category. So there is some leeway for your arguments. Part two is focusing entirely on court packing. Essentially, FDR, according to some historians and according to Democrats and Republicans at that time period, essentially, in effect, tried to dismantle one branch of the U.S. government. This very alarming effort is referred to as court packing, and there's questions that focus exclusively on that. And so I want you to take time to go over that specifically. Anyways, with that, that's the activities. These ones take a little bit longer because they're more complicated and require you to use a variety of sources. But that's it for the New Deal, and that's it for U.S. history too. There will be no further assignments. I may include an exit survey. I'll be posting that probably in May. I would please ask that you do fill out that exit survey when it comes out, and I'll make sure to make the appropriate announcements for it. The reason for this is I want to take what we've learned from this, both technology and assignment-wise, and figure out how to make my courses better, and what worked, what didn't work, and what are some ideas you guys might have. You may have done things differently in other classes and liked that better. And so I just want to collect ideas so that I can use that information to build better classes. Anyways, with all that being said, this was the New Deal introduced for spring 2020. And if this is the last you hear from me, I guess until later.